Good day, class. For today's lesson, we will discuss Module 1 in our subject, Business Mathematics. I'm your teacher, Sir Jimmy Guban, so let us now start. Module 1, Fundamentals of Arithmetic Operations. At the end of this module, you will be able to perform operations just like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and divisions accurately. Introduction. Arithmetic is a basic tool in the study of business mathematics. It refers to the simple properties when using the traditional operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with smaller value of numbers. Arithmetic is performed according to an order of operations. So business mathematics is an important part of managing business. Business mathematics is used by commercial enterprises to record and manage business operations. Arithmetic is one of the foundations of math. The addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division are the basics of math, and every math operation is important in business. Applications. Most of the practical applications included in the material are computations on problems dealing with profit and loss, depreciations, income tax, ratio and proportion, percentages, commissions, markup, trade, discounts including cash and retail discounts, payroll, compensation, simple interest, simple discount, and other business problems which involve the basic operation in arithmetic. So let us break it down some of the important terms involved in business math. Let us start with a bright understanding about the profit and loss. Profit is defined as the amount by which the sales are greater than the cost of goods sold and operating expenses. So ito yung tinatawag na kita ng isang negosyo sa mga naibentang product. Kasama na rin ang mga ginastos niya sa operasyon ng pagpapatakbo ng isang negosyo. That is how we define the profit. A loss. A loss occurs when an item is sold for less than its cost. A loss is often expressed as a percentage of the cost price. This is called the percentage loss. So halimbawa, nagbenta ka ng sapatos halagang 2,000 pesos lang. Pero ang totoong presyo or the original cost nito ay nasa 4,000 pesos ang halaga. Ang 2,000 pesos na iyon ay may ituturing natin na loss o lugi o tinatawag na profit loss sa isang negosyo. Income tax o buwis. Income tax is a type of tax that the governments impose on income generated by businesses and individuals within their jurisdiction. Income tax is used to fund public service, pay government obligation, and provide goods for the citizens. Ratio and proportion. In mathematics, a ratio indicates how many times one number contains another. For example, if there are 8 oranges and 6 lemons in a bowl of fruit, then the ratio of oranges to lemons is 8:6. That is 8:6, which is equivalent also to the ratio of 4:3. The definition of a ratio is the relationship between two things. A relationship between two quantities normally expressed as the quotient of one divided by the other. For example, the ratio of 7 to 4 can be written 7:4 or 7/4. A ratio can often also be expressed as a decimal or a percentage. Proportion. Proportion is an equation which defines that the two given ratios are equivalent to each other. In other words, the proportion states the equality of the two fractions or the ratios. For example, in our image, 1/3 is proportion to 2/3. Is larger in amount than the cost. For example, if a product sells for $125 and costs $100, the additional price increases is $125 minus $100 divided by the cost, which is also $100, times 100 is equal to 25%. 25% is the markup, the increase in percentage in price. Next, we have a trade. Trade is a basic economic concept involving the buying and selling of goods and services, with compensation paid by a buyer to a seller, or the exchange of goods or services between parties. An example of trade is, for example, a tea trade where tea is imported from China and purchased in the US. Another example is when you work in sales. An example of trade is the act of exchanging one item for another, or one item for money. That is trade. Discounts. Cash discounts are deductions allowed by some sellers of goods or by some providers or services to motivate customers to pay their bills within a specified time. So for example, in our image, a company is dealing with mobile phones and accessories. If the buyer pays within 10 days of the purchase date, then the buyer will be given a discount at 1%. So if the buyer or the customer pays later than 10 days, then no cash discount will be given. Payroll. Payroll is the total of all compensation a business must pay to its employees for a set period of time or on a given date. It also includes salaries, bonuses, and commissions. So in addition to this, payroll is the function of a business paying its employees. It also includes distributing money in the form of checks and direct deposits. It also includes keeping records on those payments and paying taxes on behalf of those employees. Payroll is also used at the end of the fiscal year to assess annual employees' wages. Next, we have compensations. In financial terms, compensations are related to the salary and wages you pay to your employees for the work they do. Compensation consists of a combination of an employee's pay, vacation, health insurance, and bonuses. It also includes other perks such as a company car, free parking, free or cheap meals, commuting costs, etc. One, two, three. Rounding off numbers. Rounding off numbers is very convenient to adopt to derive the simple forms of numbers rather than taking the exact values. In business, practicing rounding off numbers rather than taking the exact values is frequently used to facilitate computations. Estimates or approximation makes computations more convenient and simple. So rounding means making a number simpler but keeping its value close to what it was. The result is less accurate but easier to use. For example, 73 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70 because 73 is closer to 70 than to 80. But 76 goes up to 80 because it is closer to 80 than 70. Rounding is a way of simplifying numbers to make them easier to understand or work with. Rounding can be used when an exact number is not needed, and an approximate answer will do. How to round down numbers. If the numbers you are rounding is followed by 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, round the number down by not changing the number you are rounding, and the number or numbers to the right of numbers you are rounding will become 0. For example number 1, 74 rounded to the nearest 10 is equal to 70. Referring to our place value chart, the number we are rounding is 7 in the tens place value, as you can see in our image. It is followed by 4 to the right in ones place value. In this case, we round down numbers because if the numbers you are rounding, which is 7, is followed by 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, round the number down by not changing the number you are rounding. So 7 will stay as 7. It will be retained. And the number to the right of the number you are rounding will become 0. So 4 will become 0. That is why our final answer is 70. 45,315 rounded to the nearest thousand is equal to 45,000. So referring to our place value chart, the number we are rounding is 5 in the thousands place value. It is followed by 3 to the right in the hundreds place value. In this case, we round down numbers because in our rule, if the number we are rounding is followed by 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, round the number down by not changing the number we are rounding. So 5 will remain as 5, and the numbers to the right of the numbers we are rounding will all become 0. 3, 1, and 5 will all become 0. That is why our final answer is 45,000. Next, rounding up numbers, or how to round up numbers. If the numbers you are rounding is followed by 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, round up the number you are rounding by adding 1. So we add 1 to the number we are rounding with. And the numbers to the right, or the numbers that follows, will become 0. The same as what we did in rounding down numbers. All numbers that follows will become 0. Example number 1. 75 rounded to the nearest 10 is equal to 80. Referring to our place value chart, the number we are rounding is 7 in the tens place value. It is followed by 5 to the right in one place value. In this case, we round up numbers because if the number you are rounding is followed by 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, round the number up by adding 1 to the number you are rounding. So we will add 1 from 7 because 7 is the number we are rounding. So 7 plus 1 will become 8. And the numbers to the right will become 0. So 5 will become 0. That is why if we rounded to the nearest 10, the answer will be 80. 75 rounded to the nearest 10 is equal to 80. Next example. Next example number 3. 36,750 rounded to the nearest 100 is equal to 36,800. Referring to our place value chart, the number we are rounding is 7 in the hundreds place value. It is followed by 5 to the right in the tens place value. In this case, we round up numbers because if the number you are rounding is followed by 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, round the number up by adding 1 to the number you are rounding. So the number we are rounding here is 7, so we add the 1. So 7 plus 1 becomes 8. And the numbers to the right of the numbers we are rounding will all become 0. So 5 in the tens place value becomes 0, and 0 in the ones place value will become 0. That's why if we round up, if we rounded to the nearest 100, the answer will be 36,800. Rounding fractions. Rounding fraction works exactly the same way as rounding whole numbers. The only difference is that instead of rounding to ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on, we round to tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. Those are the digits that we see right after the decimal point. So ibig sabihin, in our image, dito tayo sa may right side digit mag-base pag we are rounding fractions. Steps in rounding fraction or decimal number. Number 1, determine first the rounding place and the digit to the right of the rounding place. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan alam natin kung ano ang i-round off natin na place value at saka yung digit na nasa kanan nito. Next, the digit in the rounding place is the one that will either be rounded up or rounded down depending on the digit on the right. Ibig sabihin, kung ano ang digit na nasa rounding place, yun lang ang ating i-round up or i-round down. Ito ay depende pa rin sa digit na nasa kanan nito. Next, if the digit to the right of the rounding place is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, means retaining the digit in the rounding place. Drop all the digit after the rounding place. So, ibig sabihin kung ano or kung ang number o digit na nasa kanan ng i-round off natin ay 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, ibig sabihin hindi natin pwedeng palitan o dagdagan yung number na i-round off natin. Okay, so ibig sabihin it will remain the same or as it is pa rin siya. At lahat ng number na nasa kanan nito ay tatanggalin na natin or ida-drop all natin. Next, if the digit to the right of the rounding place is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, add 1 to the rounding place. Drop all the digit after the rounding place. So, ibig sabihin, kung ang number o digit na nasa kanan ng rounding number natin ay 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, mag-add tayo ng isa doon sa rounding place natin. And then, lahat ng number na susunod pa sa kanyang kanan ay tatanggalin na natin. Rounding fraction, rounded to the nearest tenths. So let's have some example. Example, round off to the nearest tenths. 15 hundredths or 15th hundredths, round off to the nearest tenths. Para madali natin itong ma-identify kung nasaan ang ating rounding place to the nearest tenths, ilalagay natin ang ating number sa ating place value chart at hahanapin natin ang ating nearest tenths. Ito ay ang digit 1 at katabi nito ay 5 as you can see in our image. So based in our rules, if the number to the right is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, add 1 to the rounding place and drop all the number after the rounding place. So dahil ang katabi ng 1 ay 5, dagdagan natin ng isa ang ating rounding place. So yung 1 ay magiging 2. Then kopyahin na natin ang natitirang number sa left side. So yan na ang magiging sagot natin. Pag ni-round off natin ang 15 hundredths to the nearest tenths, ang sagot ay 0.2 or 2 tenths. Rounding fraction, rounded to the nearest hundredths. Example, round off to the nearest hundredths. 6 and 47 thousandths. Ilagay natin ang ating number sa ating place value chart. So, hahanapin natin ang ating hundreds place value at ang digit na nasa 100 place value ay 4 at ang nasa kanan nito ay 7. And based in our rules, if the number to the right is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, add 1 to the rounding place and drop all the number after the rounding place. Kaya naman, yung 4 ay magiging 5. Then, kopyahin ang natitirang digit na nasa kaliwa, pati ang decimal point. At eto ngayon ang ating final answer. Kapag ni-round off mo ang 6 and 47 thousandths, ito ay magiging 6 and 5 hundredths na lang. Yung thousands ay tatanggalin na natin because we are only round off to the nearest hundreds lang. Next, rounding to the nearest thousands. Round off to the nearest thousands. 8 and 4,356 ten thousandths. Ilagay natin sa ating place value chart at hanapin natin ang ating thousands place value at ito ay ang ating number 5 sa thousands place value at ang katabi nito ay 6. So based in our rule, if the number to the right is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, add 1 to the rounding place and drop all the number after the rounding place. Kaya naman yung 5 ay magiging 6. Then kopyahin natin ang natitirang digits na nasa kaliwa or nasa left side, pati na rin ang decimal point. So ito na ngayon ang ating final answer. Pag ni-round off natin ang 8 and 4,356 ten thousandths to the nearest thousands, eto ay magiging 8 and 436 thousandths na lang.